Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fintech Decoded podcast. My name is Musheer Ahmed. I'm with my co-host Monica Jasuja, and today we are very delighted to welcome Carrie Suen, who is the head of Global Affairs and Strategic Developments at Ant International. How are you doing today, Carrie?
Very good. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is a podcast which we are collaborating with the EPAA in terms of looking at the payment landscape in Asia, as well as looking at how there's a growth in the Indian payment landscape. Monica, do you want to talk a little bit about it and we can jump into the questions?
So we're actually about less than a month away from launching the report that is associated with the India Connect initiative. And Carrie has been a great support for this one. So I'm really excited to not just have a countdown to the report release at Money 2020 in the next couple of weeks, but also looking forward to speak to Carrie about not just the initiative, but how an international strategy is shaping up in APAC and beyond, and talk to about her role in the India Connect initiative as well.
Great. Carrie, you have been engaged with EPA for quite some time. As we're seeing this EPA India Connect initiative launch, what are the unique strengths you see in India's payment ecosystem that makes it particularly valuable for global partnerships as well as knowledge exchange?
Yeah, actually, I have been an active member of the advisory board of EPAA since 2021. So it's very nice to see that EPAA is now curating this brand new project focusing on India as a market. Obviously, India is a very big market, and it is fascinating how financial inclusion is being promoted to benefit billions of people. So typically, the UPI infrastructure and how this is being the backbone of the digital economy of India is also very amazing. So a lot of people looking at India as full of potential markets and are very interested to learn more about the ecosystem and where the potential business opportunities lie. So EPAA has always been putting Asia voice first at the global stage. So very excited that we are also connecting to the India ecosystem. And hopefully there will be more sharing and then more so learning from the India fintech leading players.
Thank you, Carrie. You've been part of many conversations associated with how this project was born and how far we've reached now. I would love to talk about how we're actually looking at this initiative to showcase Indian innovators globally. Now, from your experience of Ant International, what Indian innovations do you think have the most potential to transform payment landscape in the region?
Yeah, actually, I have been visiting India myself a few times, and it's every time I visit and talk to the local partners in India, it is just very impressive how advanced they are in terms of thinking of consumer experience. Um, to be honest, like I think as of today, because of the UPI infrastructure, there's a lot of interoperability in the interconnectivity within the India merchant acceptance market and also the on the issuer payment side. So a lot of the fintech players are really focusing on how can they add more values and innovation to drive inclusion in the market, working with the public sector. So I think on that, I think payments experience itself is very unique. They are thinking of how to connect with the wider government infrastructure network to enable a lot of the different payment functionality across different use cases and sectors. But more importantly, on top of that, they're also thinking um, how they position themselves to add more product offerings on top of payments to not just the consumers, but also the merchants. So on that front, I think there's still a lot we could learn from the India infrastructure. One very unique point I noticed is that they're very inclusive, right? They don't look at digital economy as a cashless economy. In fact, we were talking to some of the players. UPI actually has enabled, e-wallet to be able to withdraw money from ATM machine through the UPI rail and through a QR code. So on that front, they are able to cover the end-to-end payments needs and cycle, and also serve different segment of the consumers who may have different consumer preference. So I think having that inclusive mindset is actually really important in how they design their product and how they engage with the users. Actually, a lot of the Indian fintech players are also very global and very mature, and they're also looking into potential expansion outside of India market, which I think EPA will have a lot to offer, given the really good network that EPA has established, not just for the private sector, but also the public sector in APAC region. So that way, I think there's a lot of opportunities for EPAA as a community to connect and engage with the India stakeholders within the financial system and landscape.
Thank you. And I'm just going to take a little segue more towards talking about what Ant has been doing. Ant's one of the top payment players globally, especially in the region. A lot of innovation that comes in and has also gone to a lot of new markets over the last few years. As head of global affairs and strategic developments at Ant International, could you please walk us through your approach when you're evaluating new market opportunities, especially for strategic partnerships? What are the kind of frameworks that help you identify the most promising connections that bring value to Ant International as well as your partners?
Yeah, definitely. I think as a company, we are still looking for new opportunity and market growth. And indeed, we are also very active in identifying new market access and opportunity. Recently, we have just announced the opening of our Riyadh office in Middle East, and we are also actively looking into other emerging markets such as LATAM region. India obviously is a very attractive market, which where we hope we could also potentially find more collaborations to work together with on cross-border payments. So as the head of global affairs and strategic development, when we look at new market, I think there are a few things that we will keep in mind. First is the policy and regulatory environment. How receptive the local government is to have foreign companies' participation on innovation and also in collaboration. And another factor that we will evaluate is how innovative the local ecosystem is, where are the market pain points, whether those gaps have been already addressed, and what role we as a company can play. I think a few things that we have kept in as a principle is we only want to access a market when we see we have value to add to the table. That means if the market is already quite developed and the local players are quite capable, we don't focus so much on the domestic market. Right now, from a G20, cross-border roadmap standpoint, the landscape is still pretty fragmented. It's very encouraging to see there's a lot of public-private partnership in place to drive more inclusive payment at low cost, transparency, and also accessibility. But it is actually more challenging than it seems. So I think on the cross-border payment space is still where we see we can potentially add value to help local players to drive global growth. So we have, for example, a launch Alipay Plus, which is a full suite of cross-border payments and digital marketing solution since 2022. And currently we are already working with 36 e-wallets globally, and we have merchant coverage in 60 countries and regions. So this is where we see there's a lot of synergy, continue work with more like issuers and also merchant partners to bring digital payments global. So when travelers travel overseas, and then when small businesses want to do business outside the country, we're able to partner with local players to bridge the gap and also provide cutting edge solutions to make cross-border payment much more reliable and safe. So I think these are some of the factors that we will take into consideration. But at the end of the day, it is really whose problem we're solving and what problem we are solving. Thank you.
Carrie, this is a great segue to actually talk about your stupendous career in strategic development and, of course, business development across borders. And you've been leading this for a long time. We'd love to be able to understand how you position yourself and, of course, communicate Ant's international vision when you're meeting with potential regulators or partners in these new markets.
Yeah, I think this is also a very good question. I think it's important that we as a company foster open collaborations. As I mentioned, this landscape is evolving at a very quick pace. And today, what we've seen is there's also a lot of emerging technology, which opens up a lot of opportunities, but also risk. So as a company, first and foremost, we are dedicated to comply with local laws and regulations where we operate. This is also something a lot of companies struggle because when they go overseas, they may not always understand what is the regulatory and risk appetite of the countries that they're entering into. So having that understanding is really critical and be respectful, right? Because at the end of the day, financial services has inherent risk. So how can we ensure the ecosystem feels, stable and also consumers feel protected? So all these are considerations we need to have, and we need to communicate with our stakeholders when we enter into new markets. Another thing is also, as I mentioned, risk is imminent to the integrity of our financial system. These days, we see technology like Gen AI actually has huge potential to uplift and also transform the financial sector. But at the same time, a lot of the bad actors out there are already eyeing the opportunities. We as a company actually have received organized attacks on our system by a few, fraudsters. But luckily, we as a company are heavily invested in these risk technology, so we are able to identify them upfront and real time. But we see that there's an increasing trend of these fraudster activities. So how can we, detect them upfront, but also work with our partners to help them detect those risks upfront? Is a very real problem. So I think at the end of the day, when we engage with our stakeholders, we need to understand what the needs are, where the concerns are, and then how do we address them accordingly, but also in a way that is complementary. I think these are all very important things to keep in mind when we convey our commitment and dedication to the stakeholders that we will be engaging with.
Sorry, been few years and still I've forgotten to unmute on Zoom. So, moving through, when we're looking at cross-border partnerships, you've helped facilitate, the initially significant, what are the key examples you could give where you've helped facilitate that where challenges to begin with, but became transformative and had a large impact after that?
Yeah, so our parent company in China, Ant Group, is operating one of the leading payment platform in China, called Alipay China Wallet. So outside of China, actually, we have made commitment not to create another Alipay other than Hong Kong. Hong Kong, we have Alipay Hong Kong Wallet, but outside of Greater China, basically, our model is to be. So we will only share our know-how, knowledge, experience with our strategic partners to help them understand how e-wallet could become one of the key technology infrastructure for digital economy. So since 2015, we actually have been a minority investor in a number of e-wallet operator. We do this intentionally because we don't want to control we feel like, having minority investment in these wallet platform is a very good model where we can strengthen the strategic partnership, and we are able to feel more comfortable in sharing our proprietary technology, but also our experience and journey. So as of today, we have about 11 e-wallet partners who have kind of grown their own presence and also user base in their home country, which we don't control. And this model is really nice because they understand their markets much better, and they understand the local regulations and requirements and the consumer needs much better than us. Where we come in is we are more like a consultant. So when they feel like they are looking into next phase of their development, or when they try to achieve certain goals, but they may have run into bottleneck point, we are available to provide our learnings and also our experience to help them unlock more opportunities for their local markets. But more importantly, from an inclusion standpoint, how to drive more inclusive growth for the smaller merchants and the underserved consumers. So I think this model has proven to be very complementary and synergetic, and we are very happy to see a lot of our partners become a very responsible leaders in innovation in their home country. And then where we come in, as I mentioned before, is we have Alipay Plus solution. We also have other cross-border solutions where we can help and enhance their product offering to the ecosystem building locally. So I think again, finding that silver lining where the needs are met and where the partnership can actually amplify the benefit socially and environmentally to the community we're serving is very critical to our decision making.
Perfect.
Thank you, Carrie. Now, looking forward and in the next couple of years and what is likely to happen in this region, would love to understand, like with initiatives like India, EPA India Connect, what aspects of this kind of cross-regional collaboration are you most passionate about? What drives you personally in this space?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, EPA actually is very active on the Financial Stability Board task force around cross-border payments. So I personally also sit on the Legal Regulatory Supervisory Task Force, where we spend a lot of time discussing different mechanism how cross-border payments can be achieved and advanced. So on that front, EPA is working really hard, and actually Anne is a very key partner to EPAA in some of the reporting that we produce, and we put recommendations forward to these task force as well. In the past year, actually, we produced a paper on regulatory sandbox to try to look into different countries' practice, what are the best practice, what works, what doesn't work, and then we bring the Asia Pacific experience to the global stage discussion. Which has proven to be very well received and appreciated. And so this kind of industry insights are very important for policymakers because often of the time they understand where the pain points are, but in terms of what is the pathway and roadmap to address those pain points from a policy perspective, sometimes they could use real world example and experience to help them bridge that gap. So I think those kind of discussions has proven to be very constructive and very much appreciated. So I think from an industry standpoint, EPA will continue drive a lot of these discussion. And now with the India Connect project, we are also actively engaging with the key stakeholders, decision makers within the India ecosystem and government. So hopefully it's a two-way street, right? While we bring what we've learned outside of India to share with the ecosystem. At the same time, we have so much to learn from the India ecosystem as well. So how can we bring India experience and voice back to the APAC table and even to the G20 FSB task force discussion? I think these are a lot of the things that we are very excited about and continue look forward.
Thanks. The two of us are actively involved in the report, and Monica's leading it. We are excited about it and presenting it at Money 2020 under EPA's leadership. As this initiative gains momentum, how do you see it contributing to the broader vision of a more interconnected and innovative APAC payment ecosystem, say in the next 5 to 7 years, given how things are dynamically changing?
Yeah, I think a lot of the thing, obviously, India is a very big market. So having India's voice and experience as part of the open industry dialogue is really critical. As I mentioned, I think there's a lot happening within the space. So it's important that we understand where the trends are and potentially how these technology and trend will be applied to widen the market access for more players to come on board. So I think one thing that International as a company is also looking very keenly into is how to leverage digital asset infrastructure and blockchain to enhance the overall financial system clearing and settlement efficiency. So we as a company actually has been curating a blockchain platform where we can invite global financial institutions to join the blockchain platform that we partner with, and then through tokenized deposit, then we can exchange, treasury funds and cross currency exchange much more efficiently and effectively. As a lot of credible players are also looking into is how this potentially could translate more automation, but also enhance the cross-border compliance efficiency through programmability. So I know like India, for example, they have rolled out their own CBDC. RBI and the government is also very keen to explore the technology and how this will further enhance the financial inclusion development in India. So I think the world is getting more and more connected. So how these new trends will define the next 5 years of financial innovation will be quite critical. So I personally are very much interested in this space, and hopefully through this India Connect project, we can look deeper into this particular topic. But more importantly, other than just blockchain, how do we also deploy other techniques such as privacy enhancing technology to ensure data insight can be exchanged, so that way it will be even more efficient to exchange insights and also to detect risk and also to exchange values in a much more real-time manner. So I think these are all the key areas I think will be very exciting development and very interesting to look at. But at the same time, what are the potential loophole and risk we should consider upfront, and what kind of policy framework should be formulated for the entire ecosystem's resilience and reliability. So yeah, so I guess I'll toss it to Monica to continue to drive this conversation down the road. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie. This is amazing. And probably we can now end the podcast with Musheer's last words on this.
Yeah. Thanks, Carrie. Very, very informative, very, very interesting. I think the last answer was very well summarized in the sense of we are looking at innovative technologies that continue to mature. Blockchain as an example, AI, which Ant has been using for a long time, but in the region, both of these are at the forefront of payment innovation, while policy is catching up, and you're then looking at partnerships as a combination for the Asian century, as has been the story. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we really look forward to speaking to you again during the Money 2020 and the launch. And have a nice rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining us again.